The communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. We will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. It's poisoning the blood of our country. It's so bad, and people are coming in with disease.
Poisoning the blood of our people. I mean,
how about that?
You know, it's a hard book to read, but if you read Mein Kampf, you find poisoning the blood of our people a lot.
I was going to say, I thought I've heard those words before.
Yep. Poisoning the blood and vermin. You know, that's a. Here's the thing. And then he even says fascism. We're going to get rid of the fascists. Here's the thing. It's really important to understand what fascism is and where it comes from. This is really important. My students think they know this, but when I ask them questions, they basically explain things that come out of pop culture. They don't really explain things that involve actually learning about this. And if we start teaching them where fascism comes from, of course, we're in trouble because now we're teaching them to feel bad about themselves because maybe it's a white thing or something that could discredit the real importance of learning about a totalitarian state. Even if you suggest they read 1984 or Animal Farm or any of the classics that also talk about this kind of ruthless power. But what really bothers me, what really gets to me is these characters, you know, with the GOP and certainly Trump, can say these remarks one after another. And they do. Honestly, it's Steve Miller, it's that guy in the background, jotting them down. They come right out of the handbook of Hitlerism. And it's not just, oh, he's just talking that way, don't worry about it. This is real stuff. This is real stuff, and real lives matter here.
It's really dangerous, and what bothers me is you'll hear him say something outrageous and disgusting, like calling half the country vermin, because that's what he's doing, or projecting as he always does, calling us fascists when in fact he's the fascist. You know, talk about the ultimate gaslighter. This guy is that.
This is what it is.
But what really bothers me is you'll hear it reported on, you know, legacy news broadcasts, CBS, ABC, NBC, and they'll say, you know, well, President Trump, or former President Trump, although they make that mistake sometimes too, former President Trump called all liberals and half the country vermin today. And Joe Biden turned 81, as if somehow those two things are equal. You know, first of all, Joe Biden and Donald Trump are both just about the same age. Okay, let's stop all the nonsense.
Right.
But beyond that, they treat this outrageous statement, this horrific Hitler-esque statement,
like it's normal.
Like it's normal.
Yeah.
And we tend to just, you know, it becomes part of the hum, the din in the back of our minds.
So it's the normalization of hate speech.
Right.
That I feel, personally, I hear what you're saying, and I feel that has put us into a much riskier place.
Yeah, yeah.
Because hate speech counts. People get hurt. People get killed, for Christ's sake, when hate speech becomes the vehicle for this sort of thing.
Right. And you've got, you know, you hear about these numbers right now where, you know, the younger cohorts, millennials and younger, are basically, you know, migrating away from Joe Biden in this election and the polls and everything. Do they know that Hitler spoke about the poisoning the blood of our country when he was talking about the Jews? Blood. Do they know that he called them vermin? Do they know that? Are they aware
Well,
of
they need
that?
to know that. They need to know that, and this is part of what we're doing. We need to talk about this because this is our history. It's the ugly side of our history. But if we don't reckon with the ugly side of our history, we're doomed to repeat it all over again. And this is perhaps the urgency in our voices is about that. I think both of us feel that we're sliding down that slippery slope of historic repetition. We're going back down into that echo chamber where we can once again deal with the constructs of fascism. It's scary. I ask my students, what is fascism? You know, can you explain to me fascism? And like I said, they have pop culture responses, but they don't really understand it. So a student came in the other day and said, well, there's actually on the web, the way he said it, on the web, there is a Rethinking Hitler site.
Really?
Oh, okay. Okay. We're going to okay. This is where we're going. We're going to go with that. And,
right.
And that's...
Because that'll really help. That's, we just rethink them a little bit.
And erase all that bad stuff that
6 million
that you
Jews,
think you know about him.
What are you going to do,
Incredible. And unfortunately, we're doing this thing here, but unfortunately, that's one of the problems with this thing here. Right. The social media is not newsprint media. It doesn't have the same vetting process. It doesn't have the same intellectual background that can actually screen through and verify everything that's going on in a given piece of story. Now, I know you and I are fairly responsible, and we try to work for, as best we can the truth, but what's out there. The garbage that's out there that gets 1 million hits because they're rethinking Hitler now.
There's no line between punditry and fact.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Nobody says, this is my opinion. I remember, news reports back in our day, Walter Cronkite or Eric Severide or one of these guys, they would say, and now, for an opinion piece. They would literally label it, and then they would, offer up what they thought. And
you felt the exchange. You knew when they were giving you the news, and when they were then, not just by announcing it, but when they were stepping down to a personal perspective. You felt that. It was intentional.
Yeah. Today, I watch, Jake Tapper does a pretty good job of it, separating his reporting of the news to his piece at the end. Jen Psaki does a very nice job of it as well.
She's good.
But for the most part, and certainly almost all across Fox News, most of Fox News is not news at all. It is just punditry, but they never call it punditry. This is a news. This is a hate station masquerading as a news network, and so. What are you going to do? I mean, Obama said one time, if all I ever listened to was Fox News, I'd hate me too, So, good point.
It is a good point. I'm really concerned that we get a clearer understanding of fascism, because the other side of this coin is the Democrats are, as we know, they're meandering all over the place and stepping on their own toes to be polite and to do things in an appropriate manner. Not all of them, but the majority of them. That seems to be their construct. I think they're working by a playbook that is completely outdated at this point. There is, on the other side of the aisle, this emergent wave of fascism, and it needs to be identified. There needs to be an intelligent way to talk about this. If we, at the end of this year, we get to November of 24, the end of the coming year, and we've allowed fascism to enter into the White House, it won't be like that first term. No. They've learned, they know, and when I call them they, it's not a secret. It's not a hidden dark government. It's simply what they're telling us. That agenda 2025 is laying it out and telling us the Constitution goes out the window. We're rewriting it. They're saying it out loud. And the power and authority of one person in that office literally takes us right back to before the 1776 moment. It takes us right back to the time of we're facing a monarchy.
That's right. They say that Vladimir Putin is one of the richest men in the world.
Of course he is.
That's what Donald Trump wants to be. Mm-hmm. And as the dictator in charge of the new fascism, the new fascist America, he will be. He most certainly will be. And once again, I remind all of you, when folks like him don't pay their taxes, when they don't pay their fair share,
we pay more. We pay more. Them. That's what that is all about.
So if you think that things are going to get better, if he becomes president, I don't even know if he'll call himself the president. I think maybe he'll become a king. Who knows? But fascism is not just a dark cloud. It chokes out all the air in the room.
Part of the 2025 gig is to decide what shows can be on television.
Right.
What shows? Can you imagine? Just let that sink in for a minute. Can you imagine Franklin Roosevelt deciding what shows could be on the radio? He would have objected to Orson Welles.
And who will they go for first?
Yeah.
The news programs that they
The
don't
news
like.
shows are going to be thinned right out. And then after that, there's going to be a whole series of thinning out various programs. Any programs that have same-sex couples. That can't be on television. You can see where this thing can go.
Yes. And the thing is that, if we communicate anything to you today, our democracy is on a cliff. It truly is. Don't think for a moment, oh, we'll get past this. Don't shrug this off. Don't act like,
This one's bad, guys. This one's really bad.
This is it. This is the big one.
This is it.
And that's why this next election will be the most important in the history of this country. And if people stay home in this next election, we're gonna lose this democracy. We're gonna lose this country. We've got a lot of things working against us right now. We have Robert Kennedy Jr., who shouldn't be a candidate but is. Our number one vaccine denier. We've got Cornel West, very disappointing, who shouldn't be a candidate, but is. From the, what's her name, from the Green ticket, has decided to come back and become a candidate again. She's the one who destroyed Hillary Clinton's chance of becoming president. And we've also
Joe
got
Manchin.
Joe Manchin.
Joe Manchin may be
No
jumping
labels.
in. Yep.
Folks, if that many people come in under,
Then less than 50% could vote in the next president.
that's right.
And we know that he can get less than 50%. We've seen that. And
Right.
that could happen again.
It's already neck and neck. It's very close.
I got colleagues at Ramapo College who literally will have this conversation and they'll say, that's just not going to happen.
And that infuriates me. I'm like, for God's sake,
just not gonna
do the
happen.
math. Do the
Right.
math. You can see how Biden is polling against Trump right now. You add a green ticket. You add an independent. You add somebody like Robert Kennedy Jr., who for some godforsaken reason is polling relatively high, almost up in the 20s, I believe.
And when they say he's just carving out from Trump, he's carving out the conspiracy nuts from Trump, but he's also carving out a fairly sizable portion of the black vote from Biden.
Yeah.
And that's Biden's own fault because they didn't, the relationship between Biden and Harris really didn't work out the way everybody hoped it would work out. There
Right.
really wasn't enough play there.
Right.
But that isn't a reason to choose somebody who promotes fascism.
Well, here's the thing.
It falls short there.
We all know that if Donald Trump becomes the president, this country will cease to exist in its current form. It will cease to exist.
handbasket.
All right? We know that. And Robert Kennedy Jr. knows that he cannot win the election. Cornel West knows that. The Green ticket knows that. Joe Manchin knows that. They know they cannot become president. All they can do is ensure that Donald Trump does become
Well, they
president.
can also raise money. They can raise money, and in the process of raising money, they can garnish a lot of attention, and that's worthy of the next stage of whatever career it is that they manifest beyond the election. I know it doesn't sound very patriotic, but we don't have that.
We need patriotism right now. We
Yeah.
need patriotism, and that's not where they are. And it just confounds me that our entire democracy, our nation, everything that we ever believed in, our Constitution, is hanging by a thread right now, truly by a thread. And we have 4 candidates who absolutely know, if they run,
They ain't getting it.
they will give him a wide opportunity.
So what we really want to do here is we want for this going into 2024, we want a year of fairly intelligent conversation about how we manifest the republic, how we do this thing. And when I talk to my students and I ask them to raise their hands about how many people are registered, half of them do. I need more than half. I need all of them to do this.
Nobody can stay home, folks.
Yeah.
Nobody, not this time.
We all have to pull this
Everyone
thing
has
together.
to get out there.
And I think, like I said in an earlier episode, I think the vote that's really going to make a difference is the vote for women's rights to their own medical health care, women's rights to abortion, to Planned Parenthood, to education around their bodies, all of that. I think it is being taken away. There's no question that it's being taken away. And in fact, what is also being taken away is the right to vote to begin with, because we're losing that now. We have a challenge in 7 states over the Voting Rights Act. 1965, the Voting Rights Act, but it is being seriously challenged. It ain't going to stop. This ain't going to stop.
It's not going to stop. And if you think that they're going to stop at a woman's freedom, her sovereignty over her own body, if they feel good enough about taking away a woman's sovereignty over her own body, they're certainly going to go after the LGBTQ people. They're certainly going to go after other groups within our country.
Like our Speaker of the House has gone after them.
Right.
Already.
Right.
Yep. All right, guys.
You know what you got to do? Vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your children's and your grandchildren's happiness and future depends on it, because it does.
We all want to be safe. We all want to be warm. We all want to feel loved, know the comfort of home. Want our children to grow, learn to make their own sound. Seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground, common ground. We all walk on common ground.
We all wanna be strong, fully free and alive. Take just enough chances, stand up tall and with pride. Yes, we all wanna play, have good friends all around. It seems to me we all walk on common ground. Common ground, common ground. We all walk
on common ground. Some conversations aren't easy, and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around. But if we realize and seek to compromise,
we sleep under one moon, lift our face to one sun, feel the wetness of rain, seek shelter, everyone. Yearn for rest when we're weary, seek solace when we're down. It seems to me we all walk on common ground.
Some conversations aren't easy,
and we wonder how we'll turn this mess around.
But if we realize and seek to compromise, we can meet on common ground. Common ground. We all walk on common ground. Common ground. Common ground. We all walk. I know that we all walk. One foot forward. We all walk on common ground.